I'm outside one of the local boards of education, and I wanted to talk about one of the wisest leaders that I've known. And it's actually my father. He was a school superintendent and for most of his career. He was an educator for 30 years and was a superintendent in Mississippi and public schools there, and he ran a good school system. He said something once that impacted my philosophy. He said that his philosophy was hire good teachers and get out of their way. Think about that for a second. I watched my dad run a good school system. I know because I was a student there. And his philosophy was hire good teachers and then, just as the superintendent, get out of their way. Let them do what they do. And that's what he asked his principals to do as well. Get out of teachers' way. He knew good teachers could teach kids. And the best thing the administration could do would be to cut them loose to do what they do best. Sadly, we're in a period in American education where the last thing that we're doing is getting out of teachers' way. I think that we are now in teachers' way. No Child Left Behind has started, to me, what is a period of procedures and policies and testing that has just devastated the American classroom because it's taken away the autonomy that teachers need for them to make good decisions about what their children know and don't know and what they need to do next in the next instructional move. No Child Left Behind has tried to legislate from the federal level and then push to the state level, where people at those levels are trying to dictate what a teacher in a classroom does. And I firmly believe, like my father, Gene Meadows, that wise leader, said, that the one person who knows best what should be going on in the classroom is the teacher. Now, sure, there's some bad teachers out there, but remember the first part of my dad's philosophy: hire good teachers and get out of their way. It was all predicated on having the right teacher in the classroom. But that's for another video. There are countries around the world, in fact, most countries around the world, that do better than us in international comparisons, better than America. Get out of teachers' way. At the time of making this video, Finland is catching all the news because that's what the schools do in Finland. They get the right teacher in the classroom, and then they trust those teachers to teach the kids well. There's no national assessment system as far as standardized tests like we have. The teachers and administrators and educators in Finland really don't even know what we're talking about with standardized tests, and they're a little appalled that we would try and legislate some kind of testing from outside the classroom because they know that the teacher knows best what children know and how they're learning and how well they're doing and what they need to reteach, either to an individual kid or to the class as a whole. A colleague of mine in Hardin County, Tennessee, told a story about being in Japan and a similar thing happened. She was working with a group of Japanese educators, and it was having to be translated between English and Japanese. And as she started asking about standardized testing, it didn't make the translation. The Japanese educators had to ask a whole lot of questions just to understand what she was asking about. And then they finally said they had no idea because they didn't do anything equivalent to standardized testing. Especially not like we're doing under No Child Left Behind, where it's every year or every 2 years and there are high stakes associated with it. So I'm hoping that maybe one day soon we're going to cut some of the regulations and we're going to get back to the day when we get out of teachers' ways, because I firmly believe that the teacher knows best about what's going on in the classroom, what instructional decisions should be made, how the kids should be assessed. Just like my dad said, we need good teachers in the classroom, and then we need to get out of their way.